One thing that's fascinating that just jumped out to me is one film in Louisiana, because, I don't think Louisiana gets the credit they deserve for their filmmaking community outside of Louisiana. Now, inside Louisiana, they definitely do. I mean, for those listening and watching, Louisiana was the first state to have a taxpayer incentive. Everyone else copied. And I think we talked about earlier, Nick, like up to 45 states did it. I think it's been sort of truncated back down to 35 states.
Yep.
But I know, I'm in the state of Tennessee, and we just copy and pasted Louisiana's program according to our executive director, Bob Rains. Shout out to Bob Rains. So yeah, everybody just copy and pasted Louisiana. So that film community, I feel like, has a head start on every other state that's not in California, that's not California or New York.
Yeah, we actually cut the trailer for the film office. I know we'll have like the fun fact period, but do you know the year that the first tax incentive was?
See, we've been messing around with this.
1992.
That's right, 1992. 30 years.
Yep.
We did the trailer for the film office because honestly, New Orleans is we kind of always joke inside of New Orleans, they just know that they have something good, so they don't promote any of it, right? Down to music,
that's what
jazz,
it is.
They had, they just know it's there. And film was that, it was designed to help the local independent filmmakers when it was put in. And then obviously you had your John Grisham movies and those early 90s. And, we have the team that I work with, the line producer, Tracy Keller, is on our team. She worked in Runaway Jury. The fun thing was, like, a lot of these guys came up through, there in New Orleans in the 90s. And we were actually able to put on this last movie. We got to put a whole crew, talk about family and table, that had actually gotten their start together from locations department. And they've all kind of gone off to have their careers and work on 12 Years a Slave and all the, big titles there in New Orleans, but they hadn't worked together. So it was cool with the strike. What it did provide is a lot of guys that hadn't worked together in 20 plus years got to work together on this film.
That's so cool.
So that was really cool. But it's true. I don't think it gets enough love. I mean, I know all the numbers because we're constantly just trying to let everyone know in state how big of an industry we actually have there. I think it's still third in the States as far as how big. I think it moved to number one in 2013 before they kind of had their hiccup. And
what is the percentage now? What's the rebate? What's the grant rebate?
Crazy thing is, it's 40%. I still think it's the best in all the states.
Yeah, right. Come on.
we shot in Chalmette, which is just down the road from New Orleans. That actually has an extra percentage. We got this production up to 43.5. It gives you an extra 3.5.
How do you get that?
You have to shoot in Chalmette. So that parish, which is like they do parishes there in Louisiana versus counties. So that parish, which is like a county, if you shoot there, that actual parish will give you an extra 3.5 for all the spend that happens within its businesses and, real hard spends in that county. So
do they keep money in the pot though, Frank? Or is it one of the situations where you get there and it's depleted? And
it's depleted. No, they actually have it. I mean, I think they just extended it. So we're extended to 2030. It's 40%. There's different buckets. So there is a cap in the state. So it's 180 million. They do kind of go into the next year. So you're not left out. You're just kind of have to wait if that bucket that you're in. For independent filmmakers, we're as Full Armor, we're constantly promoting that. It's like come there to make it, because there's an independent film bucket, right? So it's kind of like I'm promoting against myself, because there's a whole 10% of that is all set aside for independent filmmakers. And then you have a whole on top of it. If you are obviously a Louisiana resident and you're a Louisiana screenplay, there's a whole nother 10% that you get.
What's the minimum spend? Is it $250?
So if you're in state Louisiana, there's actually no minimum. So it's like,
are you serious?
Dude.
Wait, no. So,
right.
So you get a percentage back depending on what bucket you're in, regardless of what the budget of the film is.
Yeah. If you let's say you did now I will say, there's some fees. I think it's like $7,000 to apply, to the applications. Okay. You might want to be at like
that's interesting.
20K, 50K. I haven't done it that low, but you can, we've talked to different people with they might have a music video or different things. They could qualify. But I've had friends that have come down and done, 100, 200K films. But so on the bigger, if you're out of state coming in, the minimum is 300,000. So
Okay.
you're coming in, that's kind of if you're in the main bucket of the cap.
That's good to know. And is Louisiana still a Republican state?
Yeah.
Like, is it got a Republican governor?
Yeah.
And see, so this is always like kind of like it's never said out loud. It's never said, directly. So I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth or but it is intimated. And I think I'm being fair by saying that it is intimated that, the reason why, Tennessee, for example, or some of these other southern states won't change a rebate is because, maybe you're filming blue city, red state.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I think Louisiana has just proven that doesn't have to be an obstacle.
Well, because it's industry, it's working.
It's working.
Right?
And look, I know the numbers because we just went and petitioned in Baton Rouge for this, right? So as our crew of like local filmmakers, we all rallied, and we have some really cool people leading the charge that are actually independent studio owners. And I've been really kind of championing that because I think we look at studio owners and we think the studios, we think LA, you think big money, that's all this stuff. But there actually are independent owners who actually run studios. And to me, that's the reason why we moved our company from New York there. One, because it was open. There was the hospitality. I'm from there, obviously, and I had my eyes set on it. And I was already seeing what was happening. But the minute I got down there and started seeing like, oh, no, this is completely open I could walk up to a studio owner and be like, could we work on your down months? Can we negotiate? What's going on? And we did that with American Reject. And to me, it created something that's impossible as filmmakers. We don't think we have the ability to go into a studio or even that kind of controlled environment and help our film. And New Orleans makes that possible but I do think it's not all utopias. I will say Baton Rouge, it is a blue city in a red state. I mean, and right. There is a conversation of like, let's get rid of the film tax credit. And that is a topic that has to cycle through the politics. But these studio owners that are independently owned and all of the union, I mean, I think we have about just under 400 million on payroll. They say it's about 20 crews deep in the state. That's an industry. They did close to $1 billion in 21. Wait, no, 22, right? This year's down. So in 22, it was just under $1 billion in production. So, I mean, that's what you have to look at. And most people don't look at it. They're looking at the 180 million incentive, but you have to look at the 900 million that's coming in.
Right.
Like, don't look at the budget that's coming in. Don't look at the tax rate. And so there's a lot of politics that's in that, and I think it's a constant fight. But I knew this from New York, it was Manhattan versus, Albany, what I mean? It's just this like element of like, why are you making all the money? Why is everything going on down there? It's kind of the same thing. You got New Orleans, like someone up in Shreveport. It's like, how does this help me? But this last project we were on, it had football involved. We involved a bunch of schools. I was like making sure every council person knew that there was money going into the schools in these other counties that wouldn't have, parishes, but that wouldn't have been there before. So, you got to make people aware of how much. We talked about it with the strike. You don't realize all the ancillary businesses that happen in and around this industry. And there's just so much more than what people know just looking at the screen.